Welcome to Annapolis Mosaics. Our program spotlights people in our community who are involved in activities designed to promote good human relations. I am Michael Keller, the chair of the Annapolis Human Relations Commission and your host. The commission is a city board that seeks to promote equal opportunity and to eliminate discrimination. My guest today is Sasha Lipchenko, who is the director of the Youth Services Bureau of the Community Action Agency of Anne Arundel County. Sasha, welcome to Annapolis Mosaics.
Thank you for having me here.
Your philosophy, as it states on your website, is that all kids can succeed, no exceptions. Could you expound on that?
Well, that phrase comes from Kids at Hope, which is a research-based philosophy that came out of the Arizona State University. Annapolis got involved in it a couple of years ago when Tony Spencer of the city and Debbie Wood and Reverend Cheryl Menendez were invited to go out to Arizona to the Masters Institute, and they brought back that philosophy. It's not a project or a program, it's a philosophy that says that all kids can succeed, no exception. And the basic premise there is that kids succeed if they have a relationship with an adult, if people believe that they can succeed, and they can articulate their future. So we help do that. And those of us who've been trained in it, and even if you haven't been trained in it, we consider adults treasure hunters. And there is a treasure hunter's pledge that says that we're going to look for the talents, the skills, the abilities in kids to help them become the best that they can be. And this philosophy seems to work well, and it's been implemented at Annapolis Middle School. And this is their second year. And just yesterday we had what is called a Tunnel of Hope, where adults in the community, the teachers, line the hallway and welcome the kids to their first day of school, wishing them well. It seems to make a positive impact on behavior in school and therefore achievement. And kids do better with it. It's been recognized by the superintendent of the state schools. It is now being implemented this year in Hebron Harmon Elementary School up in the Arundel Mills area. But Annapolis City Schools are going to be the first schools to have it go to the feeders program. So eventually all the schools in Annapolis will implement Kids at Hope. It'll take a few years to do that. It's not very expensive once you get it going, but it does require some training. And it's a great little philosophy, and it incorporates everybody in the community. So we're going to try to train everybody on it. It's a 4-hour training, and everybody gets a certificate in Hopeology. And it's being used in Chicago schools. It's being used in Phoenix and the suburban schools. Herndon, Virginia is implementing the use of the philosophy. So Annapolis is in the forefront for the city, for the county, and certainly for the state of Maryland.
Could you tell our viewers about the Youth Services Bureau itself, and specifically, what do you offer?
Okay. Annapolis Youth Services Bureau was created 37 years ago, actually. It has been part of the Community Action Agency since then. It was a partnership that grew out of state and local agreement. There's a matching, the city of Annapolis matches some of the funding from the state. There are 19 of us throughout the state. We provide delinquency prevention, family intervention services. Our clients are ages 5 to 18. Their families are included. We don't just think we can work with kids without working with their families. We have a small staff, but a very effective staff. We have a full-time counselor, a part-time and 2 part-time counselors. We even have a consultant who does about 6 hours a week with us, who helps supervise interns and also works with all of the staff. And he's been with it since the beginning, practically. His name is Dr. Mastanos. And then we have a couple of programs that we work with the city of Annapolis and the school system. There are alternative schools in the community where kids who have some struggles that they're going through in the school system, they go to this alternative school and we provide counseling there. So we have a partnership with the school system, Boys and Girls Club, City of Annapolis. As I said earlier, we're very active in the Kids at Hope and promoting Kids at Hope and implementing it. We're one of the members of the steering committee. But basically it's about helping families where there are some challenges going on. Sometimes kids have anger management issues, or they have self-esteem issues, or they have peer relation issues. Sometimes it's family conflict. We work with families to try to resolve those things, to make them work so that not only can the child succeed, but the family succeeds in helping the child become a successful person. We serve roughly 120 youth and their families every year. We do it on a very small budget, but my staff is very dedicated, and I'm very proud to be associated with them. We also provide at Christmas time, in partnership with the Marriott Hotel and Pusser's Restaurant, who provides the food, we provide a holiday party for about 160 kids. And we see to it that they get some presents, and we have a benefactor who donates a lot of his time and effort in terms of making sure that it's a fun event. He provided a magician. He stays in the background, so I'll withhold the name at this point.
Okay.
But he's just it's just wonderful to have somebody who he comes in and says, whatever you need, let me know. And we do have a relationship with Nordstrom's, where people can go to their holiday tree, pick a name off of there, and give a gift anonymously. Macy's has the same thing for its employees, so we get gifts there. We have a preschool program out in Bowie who actually they do the same thing. They take names and they provide presents. So we have partnerships not only in Annapolis, but in this county as well as Prince George's County, believe it or not, so that we put on a very nice little program. And we're now in our 14th year with doing that. And so we like doing that. It's a way to give back to kids in a different way. You don't have to be a client of ours. We do register people, because when you only have 160 slots, you've got to do that. So we do that program. And then we partner with the Partnership for Children's Families in the county as members of the Coalition for Safe Communities, of which I'm chair at the moment. And that organization is working towards substance abuse and alcohol abuse prevention among teenagers and adolescents. The problem is not one that's easily going to go away, but we're working at that. And then we also participate actively in the Youth Suicide Prevention Committee, which involves the entire county, because that is also an issue that we're very conscious of.
Well, you've got a very impressive program considering the size of staff that you have, and it's obviously you're very proud of what you've done. Let's talk a little bit more in detail about some of the things that you mentioned in terms of what specifically goes on. You mentioned counseling quite a number of times in terms of helping the kids. What kind of counseling is done? What kind of assistance do you provide to them? Are the families brought in on the counseling side of it? What are some of the parameters there?
Well, let me show you how the process works,
Okay.
and then that'll kind of answer your question.
All right.
Anyone can refer somebody to Annapolis Youth Services Bureau, whether it's a parent. Sometimes we get kids who refer themselves and come in for help. The schools refer, social services refers, the health department, Department of Juvenile Services, they send us a referral. Once a week we take all the referrals and we triage them and then assign them to counselors. The counselor or our administrative assistant will call them up and make an appointment with the family. The family comes in and does an initial interview. At that interview, the discussion goes around what are those kinds of challenges that are facing the family and the child that can be worked on. And over a period of 2 or 3 sessions, a plan is made of how to address those. And generally, we try to serve kids for at least 4 sessions, but generally 6 to 8 sessions. If it takes longer, we'll stay with the family longer. And what happens in those processes, the counselor will spend time with the child, the counselor will spend time with the family, they will have discussions, they will talk about things, activities that they can do that will further their progress towards meeting that goal. And they may have homework, they may not have homework to do. They will be asked about other significant people in the family that might want to be part of this process. And they go through this process for a matter of, like all counseling, nothing happens in a day. Generally, they spend an hour a week. Over time, we'll have some families will go once every 2 weeks or once every 3 weeks as they start achieving their goals, and then they go ahead and discharge themselves and go on their way. And sometimes what will happen is a family will go for 6 months, a year, 2 years, and they'll see something come up and they feel comfortable that we were able to help them, and they'll come back and say, this has cropped up, how do we handle this? We'll see them for a short term. We try to see as many families as we possibly can in a given period of time, but we don't let anybody go until they feel comfortable that they've gone. Sometimes kids come because they have to come. They're involved with juvenile services, and it's part of they need to go to counseling for whatever the reason is, maybe anger management. And we'll work with those kids for as long as they need to be worked with. We have kids who then tell us that, we've really made a significant difference in their lives. We know that because they write letters to our counselors to let them know that. And so we're very proud of the fact that we have a very warm, inviting staff. I mean, they disarm people very quickly in the sense that they make you feel comfortable when you come in the door. It's not always easy to come and get counseling, even to sometimes say we have a problem that we need help with. But we try to keep that in mind. We try to make sure that we're always welcoming, open, and we try to work in terms of where the family wants to go. And I think we're rather successful at it. When they do some studies to figure out, how successful are we at it, we tend to be between 92 and 95% of our kids don't have any involvement with the juvenile justice system or legal system. And when you consider that we get most of the we refer to them as kids at hope, not kids at risk. Okay. When we get a lot of kids who have high challenges, and to be 92 to 95% successful with that is pretty good. And there's no guarantee, but it's pretty good. And we have kids who we then get to see later on in life who get successful, and we think we're part of that. We're not the only part of that, but we think we're an important part of that.
Okay. We're going to take a break now, and when we return, we'll continue the conversation with Sasha Lipchenko of the Youth Services Bureau of the Community Action Agency of Anne Arundel County.
Hi, I'm Dr. Joni Jones. I'm the director of the Maryland Commission on African American History and Culture and the Banneker Douglas Museum.
I'm Genevieve Kaplan, the Education and Public Programs Manager here at the Banneker Douglas Museum.
The BDM is the state's official repository for African American history and culture. We offer a series of exhibits that change throughout the year.
We have programming for pretty much everybody, from kids to families to adults, school groups, church groups. Lots of activities going on at least once or twice a month.
In addition to programming, we make the site available for rental. You can have anything here from a meeting to your wedding and reception. So please check out the museum at www.bdmuseum.com, or you can call us at 410-216-6180.
We've been talking today with Sasha Lipchenko, who is the Director of Youth Services for the Community Action Agency of Anne Arundel County. Sasha, a couple of things that the Youth Services Bureau involved with is crisis intervention and also with substance abuse and with mental health referrals. How does that figure into your activities? How does it differentiate from the counseling work? Can you elaborate on that?
If sometimes there are situations where there's a grief issue, which is crisis related, we will see some kids. For example, there was an unfortunate employee of the Boys and Girls Club who passed away. And the kids had been very close to him, and my staff went over there and did some grief counseling with them on a moment's notice. But also, we will sometimes be able to see families very quickly if there's issues where there's some thought that they might harm themselves. Generally speaking, we recommend that if a family finds that a family member is going to harm themselves or may be suicidal, that they go to the emergency room. But sometimes kids seem to act depressed, and we will see them, and that's a crisis situation. We will try to see them if we possibly can. The substance abuse, we do a substance abuse assessment with every child 12 years old and older. It's a paper questionnaire. If we can, we provide substance abuse education, which is kind of important because sometimes kids don't really understand what drugs and alcohol will do to them. We know more about brain development now than we knew 10 years ago. We'll know more in a year than we do now. But we try to incorporate that kind of information into it. Sometimes we get referrals from programs like Teen Court, where the request is that part of the counseling be substance abuse education, and we incorporate that into the counseling. If the issue is a little more difficult than that, where real substance abuse rehabilitation is required by either the youth or the family, we try to make a referral to an appropriate agency. Of course, as you probably well know, there isn't a whole lot of resources in the community for those kinds of things, but we try to help locate that if we can, but we do make recommendations for that. We will sometimes do things that are outside of the core. We'll do groups for certain subjects. We have tried in the past and done some adult group sessions for parent education that parents had asked for, but it's done in a group because it's not specific to their child. So we've had parent cafes in conjunction with the school system, and so we try to do some of those kinds of services when it's appropriate.
You made reference earlier to the fact that the Youth Services Bureau makes good use of partnership arrangements. And of course, that's very important when you've got a small staff, that you bring in other individuals with whom you can collaborate and work. And you mentioned several of these. Could you tell us a little bit more about the use to which you put partnerships and what role that it plays in the Youth Services Bureau program?
Well, we do it in a number of ways. I mentioned earlier the Coalition for Safe Communities. We're taking a look at the entire community around the issue of substance abuse and trying to educate the community, kids. They also provide a teen summit. They have, which happens every spring, where kids come and have fun, as well as get some education about substance abuse and substance abuse prevention. We have partnerships with, as I indicated, the holiday party is a partnership between ourselves and the Marriott Hotel, which is a business downtown, Pusser's Restaurant, which is really generous. They coordinate that activity for us. We invite kids. The Boys and Girls Club bring kids. The Annapolis City Parks and Recreation Department bring kids to that event. So we have slots for all of them. So that's a partnership that I think is one where we kind of give back with everybody else to some of the kids in a different way. We have a partnership with another nonprofit that's also in the Stanton Center. By the way, we're in the Stanton Center. That's where our office is.
Okay.
Called We Care and Friends. They do school on water for kids. I don't know if you've had Larry Griffin on your program or not.
We have had Larry, and he has an amazing program.
And he does a lot of things that people don't really realize are working, but he takes the kids out in the water, he takes the kids on trips. They get exposure during the summer that they would not get otherwise. He and I think, have done something that's somewhat unique. We're two different agencies, but we do a little bit of fundraising together, realizing that we're asking people to support kids. We serve many of the same children and families, so we've done some fundraising activities together. If you're familiar with the Cars Beach event, this year it was held over at the Wiley Bates Center in their field back there. Last year it was on Cars Beach, but because it's been built up, you can't really do it that way. We hope to have another Cars Beach Music Festival next spring. So the funds that we raise from that, we share. We do some activities together. We try to find, like, for example, Larry has a Christmas shop where people can come in and get stuff, but when we have things that we can share with them, we do it through Larry. So that's a direct partnership where we do things together because we serve the community. We also have a partnership, in a sense, in the Maryland Association of Youth Services Bureaus. There are 19 of us. We meet once a month. We apply for grants together. In that way, we're doing something on a statewide basis. We serve, with those 19 bureaus, roughly 75% of the youth in the state. We're way underfunded, and always have been. We've been flat funded since 1992. But the communities have generally found ways to fund that. We're all under a little bit of stress, but we do have a governor who really understands what youth services are about and who it serves. So he's been very supportive of that, and we appreciate that. There's nothing to replace youth services bureaus. If the youth services bureaus went away, a lot of kids wouldn't be served. Right now, we don't have any fees for our service, so we're able to serve people who would not otherwise seek us out.
Do you have any activities or programs or services you'd like to talk about that directly impact the residents of the city of Annapolis?
Well, as I indicated earlier, we serve many of our youth that come to us are from the city of Annapolis, despite the fact that we have multiple fundings. So about half of the youth that come to us are from Annapolis. Generally speaking, the Kids at Hope project has been focused on Annapolis because Annapolis was willing to participate and get into it, and has seen the value of how just telling kids that they are successful has an impact, and that they can be successful in supporting that. When there are activities here in Annapolis that we are part of, we try to be effective in that. Obviously, the Community Action Agency, because it is a county agency, includes the city and the county in whatever it does. So while we aren't specific just to the city, all of our programs serve the city as well as the county. Like I said, in our case, about half to 60% of the youth we serve come to us from the city. Interestingly enough, we get clients from as far away as Brooklyn Park. We get youth from South County, and that is attributable to the fact that we do provide the service that we provide, and there aren't a whole lot of other places that people will get that kind of service. So we kind of like to look at it, at the entire community when we do that.
What are your greatest challenges?
Well, our greatest challenge is financing.
Okay, talk
It's
about
funding.
that.
We get funding from the state and the city, and we used to get a 50-50 match. Unfortunately, at the state level, we've had to absorb an 11% cut this year. We feel confident that as the economy improves, the governor will try to reinstate funding and probably expand it if he's ever in the financial status to do that. We had always received funding from the city. This year we've received a cut, which is a significant cut for us. We are trying to find additional funding to make sure we keep our doors open. We have a city council that understands youth services. Many of the members of the city council are very, very supportive of what we do. I think the mayor and the city council will try to find funding if we need it to maintain ourselves. We're working very hard at that. We've applied for some grants. We also take donations. We would take any donations that people want to make, $5, $10. We actually do something else for a fundraiser. We generate a calendar, and this is our second year that we did it.
Okay.
And it's we produce this ourselves. We printed it ourselves. This year we used pictures that kids did. There's a program that Rob Levitt runs in the summer called Creative Arts Academy, the Mentoring Academy, and they do artistic things with it. And one of the things they do is take pictures. And so what we asked the kids to do is let us use their pictures for this year's calendar. And we sell this for about $8. People can call Annapolis Youth Services. We're going to try to have these out by November. This year we're hoping to have artwork that's done by kids at the Stanton Center, so that we're actually involving the kids that we're serving in doing this. And so this is we did the 2009 was our first year, and so we're going to try to put out a 2011 calendar. So that's something that we do where we try to incorporate the artistic skills of the kids in the community, and we make a little money off of it. Not a whole lot, but we do take donations as well.
Sasha, if there are viewers, and I'm sure there are, who would like to learn more about the programs, services, and activities of the Youth Services Bureau, how can they get that information?
There's two ways. We can go to our website, which is aaceoc.com, which has the Community Action Agency, and they can peel down to Youth Services Bureau. Or they can call us at 410-626-1800. And anyone who answers the phone will help them. We don't have extensions, so it's if for any reason there's nobody in the office, just leave a message. We always call back.
Okay. You also wanted to briefly, I believe, mention some of the other parts of the Community Action Agency.
Yes. The Community Action Agency has several programs in it. We run the Head Start programs here in the county, and they are doing very well. We serve about I think it's going to be 443 kids this year. They have a pre-Head Start program, and they have aftercare. We have a empowerment program, which includes housing assistance, case management. We've done some reverse mortgage counseling. We actually have an office in Glen Burnie as well, on Delaware Street, 17 Delaware Street, I think is the address there. We also have the MEET program, the Maryland Energy Assistance Program, which does a fantastic job. It provides assistance with budgeting for utilities. They try to help people pay off some of their utilities through the programs that are provided through the energy companies as well as the state. They see lots of people. They can be reached at 410-626-1900. Their intake person's extension is 1035. people should know that they're very busy, few people doing this, but they do get back to you. So if you leave a message, and if they can't, they can always call our office. We'll take the message and we'll see to it that it gets to the right person.
Well, thank you. Thank you for viewing our program today, and please join us again on Annapolis Mosaics. If you would like more information about the Annapolis Human Relations Commission, just jot down the information on your screen. You can contact us at 410-263-7998 or by email at hrcommission@annapolis.gov. Or you can check out our page at the City of Annapolis website. Go to www.annapolis.gov. Click on Boards and Commissions at the home page, and then scroll down to the Human Relations Commission page. And always remember the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "We have flown the air like birds and swum the seas like fishes, but have yet to learn the simple act of walking the earth as brothers and sisters."